Bridesmaids, groomsmen of Reddit. What's the most ridiculous request you had to endure for the couple's big day? The groom asked me to keep an eye on his tux for signs of dandruff. He had a bad case of it at the time. I told him to choose a light colored tux, but the bride insisted the guys wear black, a color that, of course, showed every particle of dandruff. So I placed a small brush in my pocket, and every so often would dust him off as discreetly as possible throughout the day. So you were a literal groomsman, a stable buddy, head and shoulders. My friend decided to get married at a resort in Aspen. We don't live in Colorado and he wasn't offering to pay for flight, hotel, tux, etc. for anyone except him and his wife. They were broke 23-year-olds just like us. Neither parents had the money either. It was a noon wedding and a 2-hour reception immediately following. That's it. Everyone fly home. The bride and groom didn't even stay the night. He got so mad at me when I told him we won't be able to make it. 5 years later he still doesn't talk to me. People really do lose a lot of perspective with this shit, don't they? He had zero idea how selfish he was being. Flights, hotel, rental car, and food was gonna be right around $2,000 for my wife and I. We were both recent college grads saving up for a house. A $2,000 day wasn't really in the cards. My friends were getting married, and my girlfriend and I were both in the wedding party. The bride's mother suggested that my girlfriend get hair extensions to be in the wedding to not ruin the photos for her daughter. My girlfriend has very short hair because she has Graves' disease. Her hair has become very brittle and started falling out in clumps. I'm sure it wasn't intended to be rude, but telling somebody that have to put on a wig because you don't think they look good enough to be in your daughter's photos seems pretty terrible to me. I was pretty disgusted by this post, and my visceral reaction was to downvote it, until I remembered that I'm on your side. I'm gonna downvote you so hard your friend's mom is gonna feel it. Outdoor wedding with no backup plan on the shores of Lake Michigan. Pouring rain and wind, but the happy couple requested no umbrellas because they wanted to be able to see the faces in the crowd. They were able to see the very wet and angry faces of people whose clothes were ruined while the bride and groom stayed dry under the gazebo. The juxtaposition there is actually kind of hilarious. I'm glad you all think so. It was lost on me because I was playing guitar in the wedding and doing my best to keep it from being ruined. Bridesmaid to my sister. She demanded that I grow my fringe, bangs, out months before because quote I don't want anyone's hair blowing in the wind. It all has to stay perfectly still. Also, I'm quite pale so she insisted I had to wear fake tan. I originally bought a pale tan color but the morning of the wedding she made me pile it on. It was pretty hot that day so subsequently, it stained my pale pink dress. Was still an amazing wedding regardless. Also, I like to think that when I get married I have 2 ridiculous request cards. 2 things she has to do and I'll bring up her wedding if she refuses. Tell her you need to be the tannest person there, so she can't tan at all leading up to your wedding. She needs to wear sunscreen whenever she goes outside for even a minute. I was a bridesmaid and my so was a groomsman, and we were banned from looking at, speaking to or dancing with each other for fear of outcuting the happy couple. We'd been together for 5 years at this point. We didn't do it, but the request alone was outrageous. Edit. Thank you everyone for all the kind words and support on these comments. No one has ever had my back over all this and it really means a lot. Thanks Reddit bros. Bump and grind. Fuck their insecurities. Sounds like by not being massive douchebags, you would have outcuted them easily. My sister just came home from a weekend trip to Miami that the bride demanded she attend. Why Miami you may ask? To get drunk and spend time in the sun and party all night? Apparently not. She forced her bridal party to go to Miami on their own dime, to go to some spas and be in bed by 10. She also only booked 2 hotel rooms with 1 bed each for 8 women. I advised my sister to get some better friends. Did you sister already know about the 2 rooms for 8 persons thing? I mean you always more or less can guess which kind of friend would pull out such situations. She didn't, and was pissed when she arrived and found out. An old friend from high school decided to get married in Hawaii and invite us all. Most of us couldn't afford it. She gave us all shit, but still had a decent turnout and a nice wedding. 6 months later we're renewing our vows again in Hawaii. 1 year later, we're renewing our vows again in Hawaii. 6-year anniversary coming up soon. 6th time they'll all be in Hawaii to get married again. With all the pomp. Last year barely anyone showed up, and she ranted on Facebook for months about it. This year it's just so you all know we've already booked the biggest venue on the island, so we expect you all to show up. A few it's a shame people disrespect your love posts. But mainly no one responded. I only keep her as a friend for the schadenfreude at this point. Edit. Oh, and most of the people she invites would need at minimum a passport to go to Hawaii. In college I was a best man for a wedding where the bride demanded we all wear designer suits. I had to sell a guitar to afford just the rental. I had no money before. And after I had no money and one less guitar. Then at the reception the groom pulled me aside and told me it was my job as best man to make sure their marriage went well. I was supposed to check in and help them with marriage stuff to make sure they didn't get divorced. I looked him in the eye and said I can't be responsible for your marriage. He didn't talk to me from that second until just a couple months ago, 6 years after his wedding. I'm far from an expert on marriage, but asking your best man to be the guardian angel of your marriage is pretty weird. I had to sell a guitar. Not a fucking chance. I was the maid of honor. She demanded I come pull weeds out of her parents' yard a day or two before the wedding because the reception was at her parents' house. I had already gone through multiple ridiculous requests the week leading up to the wedding. So this one I put my foot down and said no. Got through the wedding. No longer friends. She did send a gift when I got married. A centerpiece from her wedding that I had helped make. Edit. Whoa. I am getting a ton of messages for something I worded very poorly, so let me just apologize again really quick for making that comment. My intention wasn't to be sexist, even though that is how it was worded. I apologize and I'll definitely do better next time. I'm not thinking you lost any big deal in that one, Ms. Gardner. It's actually Mrs. Gardner now. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in a wedding of a male friend. I had tried to befriend the bride because the groom was a childhood friend. All of the planning leading up to the big day was a total shit show, and she used our wedding chat to constantly discuss all of her problems with the groom. Ring was too small. They never talked about finances before getting engaged and now she's not sure he makes enough. Can you get a prenup for children you don't have yet? Constantly telling us we were bad friends. Keep in mind we are all friends with the groom for many years before she was in the picture. I could write a novel about it. The final straw for me was when she asked me to plan a bachelorette party, but couldn't tell me anything about what she was interested in doing. Clubbing versus spa day versus beach trip, etc. Other than nothing too wild, but definitely cost effective. And when I presented her with a plan, told me I was a terrible friend and that was the worst bachelorette plan she had ever seen. I was replaced as a bridesmaid, did not attend the wedding, and do not speak to either of them anymore. My best friend asked me to dye my hair from blonde to brown because her other bridesmaids all had brown hair and she wanted to be the only one with blonde hair. She did pay for me to get it done at a professional salon, so I didn't mind too much. And her photos did look amazing after. However, I definitely have a few friends who thought I was crazy for agreeing to that request. Honestly, relative to the other ones in the thread, this is a lot better because she paid for it and didn't make you pay an exorbitant amount of money. Got asked to stand up for a wedding during culinary school for a high school friend. She said she didn't want us to buy presents, but wanted us to help with various wedding things since it was a backyard wedding. Like someone help with the flowers, another do favors, table setting, etc. She wanted to know if I could help with dinner. I said sure, and asked her what she wanted help with, figuring it was prep work for someone else to do. She wanted me to handle the whole dinner, as in cooking for 200 people, as a 19-year-old having only done a year culinary school. She also wanted me to help pay for the food I'd be making. As their gift, she wanted me to make Caesar salad, potatoes au gratin, and roast enough ducks for 200 by myself, and pay for about half of it. I was learning how to be a pastry chef. I explained and she just stared at me blankly. I told her I could do the cake easily enough, but she insisted she wanted a real cake from a bakery. I told her there wasn't any feasible way I could do it. Not only because that's fucking crazy, but because I literally wasn't trained to do it, and I got disinvited from the wedding. They apparently served bagged salad, boxed potatoes and roasted chicken from Walmart. The bride bought us all earrings to wear on the day. I was met with a blank look when I told her the holes in my ears were closed over a while ago. So one of the other bridesmaids, who happens to have quite a weak stomach for this kind of thing, and I went into the other room and re-pierced my ears. Edit, it was years ago in the morning of, and I was in my early 20s at the time. I'm pretty sure it'd be a different outcome if I was asked to do it today. I understand that it was her big day, but that's taking selfishness to the next level. A whole new level. My future sister-in-law has made it very clear that she wants her bachelorette party to be a week in California. We live in New Jersey. That means I would have to take a week off from work. My husband would have to take a week off from work to stay with our children. I would have to pay for my airfare and hotel and all the week's activities, and pay my chef for her. Since everyone knows the bride doesn't pay for anything on her bachelorette party, when I said I'd have to see if it's something that we could make work, she basically just said, well, only the people that really love me will be there. I'm only going to get married once, so I have every right to be selfish. Good luck marrying that one. I'm only going to get married once. I have my doubts. Best man here. Wedding is in 2 weeks. I am not allowed to drink any alcohol until the reception because I turn a deep shade of scarlet. Bride doesn't want to have a tomato in the wedding photos. I'm Korean, and to be fair, I understand. I know there are remedies, but I don't want to chance anything on their day. I was incredibly amused when my best friend awkwardly tried to relay this to me. You're her husband-to-be's best friend and those pictures are for forever. She wants you guys to look good. This one I actually get. You're, aside from some playful joking, it didn't really bother me too much. Oh good lord, you made it to the end of the video. Give this video a thumbs up so I can give my butthole a thumbs up. And if you like my videos, please feel free to subscribe. I post my bullshit every other day. Thank you, Flea.